Have you ever stopped to think about the small things in your life? Not the big issues like your job, family, or health, but the little things that barely cross your mind. The bits of dust in the air, the tiny particles floating in your drink, or even the minuscule things you never see but are always present. These are the unnoticed fragments of our world, so tiny that they slip through the cracks of our attention every single day. They seem harmless, even invisible, but lately, science has started to reveal stories that suggest these tiny particles may be more than just unnoticed specks. In fact, the truth about them might be enough to change how you look at your environment entirely. Before moving forward, I'd like to introduce you to diacetyl, a natural alternative to metformin specifically designed for diabetics. Right now, there's a time-limited promotion. When you order a 3 or 6 month supply of diacetyl, you'll receive the Dia Multivita, a daily multivitamin supplement for diabetics, free for the same duration. Think about the last time you sat by the ocean, or maybe a stroll you took through the woods. There's an undeniable sense of purity and calm in nature. The air feels fresher, the sounds more genuine, and you can't help but feel a little lighter, as though the natural world is free from the worries of modern civilization. Yet, hidden within that beauty, there is something we have brought into those environments, something that wasn't part of the natural order. Researchers from all over the world have been collecting samples from oceans, rivers, soil, and even the air, and what they found are not natural elements, but rather pieces of synthetic debris. What makes this shocking is the size of these fragments. They're tiny, often invisible to the naked eye, yet they're everywhere, from the top of the highest mountains to the depths of the sea. Now, here comes the twist. These tiny particles, commonly known as microplastics, are not just lingering in the environment. They are making their way into our bodies. They are present in the water we drink, the food we eat, and even in the air we breathe. The recent findings of microplastics in human blood and organs were initially dismissed by many as inconsequential, but studies have started to suggest otherwise. More and more researchers are uncovering links between microplastic exposure and various health problems. One of the more alarming findings relates to diabetes, a condition affecting millions worldwide. Imagine something as small as a microplastic could play a part in impacting the health of our bodies, contributing to metabolic issues and, ultimately, diabetes. Diabetes, as most know, is a complex disease involving how our bodies process glucose, the primary source of energy. For years, researchers have explored the connection between environmental factors and diabetes, things like stress, pollution, even the kind of lifestyle we lead. But what if, without realizing it, we're constantly exposing our bodies to harmful microscopic particles that could disturb our metabolic health? Studies have shown that microplastics can carry a whole array of chemicals, some of which are known endocrine disruptors. These chemicals can interfere with hormone regulation, the very thing that keeps our metabolism and blood sugar levels stable. There have been multiple animal studies where microplastics have been shown to disrupt glucose metabolism. Lab animals exposed to these particles showed signs of insulin resistance, which is a precursor to diabetes. This resistance makes it harder for cells to take in glucose, causing blood sugar levels to rise. The substances coating these microplastics, including bisphenol A or BPA and phthalates, are notorious for their effects on the human endocrine system, which governs everything from growth to metabolism to stress response. And it's not just animals. Some studies have even indicated that human cells can show stress responses when exposed to microplastic particles. But let's keep this grounded. Microplastics aren't the classic villain we would picture. They don't burst through walls announcing themselves. They're subtle, hiding in plain sight, sneaking their way into the most intimate areas of our lives. They start in our shampoo bottles, our laundry detergents, our plastic food containers. A fiber here, a broken particle there. but it's the long-term exposure that raises red flags. Scientists are now racing to understand just how far-reaching these effects could be. And diabetes is only one piece of the puzzle. The way these microplastics may exacerbate inflammation, another critical factor in diabetes, is now under scrutiny too. Think about it. Your immune system is always on alert, always vigilant, ready to fight off threats. But what if, day in and day out, it's exposed to these little invaders, these tiny plastic pieces that it doesn't quite know how to process? Your immune system reacts, but there is no immediate victory to be won. There is no bacteria or virus to kill. Instead, it is caught in a loop of overreaction. Chronic inflammation sets in, an ongoing, simmering flame that never truly dies out. This persistent state of inflammation is a known factor in the development of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. For those wondering, why now? Why, with all our advancements, are we only starting to understand these impacts? The truth is that it's a field still in its infancy. We weren't looking for microplastics until recently. No one knew the scale of the issue, let alone the health impacts. And now, with every new study, there are more alarming findings. They are finding microplastics in placentas, in newborns, and even crossing the blood-brain barrier. If these particles can spread throughout the body, it's a reasonable conclusion that they might interfere with delicate systems that regulate our health, including glucose metabolism. The concern doesn't end there. Beyond the direct effects of microplastics, there are questions about what these particles bring along with them. Think about plastics in the environment. They don't stay clean and pure. They attract other pollutants, heavy metals, and chemicals. This combination becomes a cocktail of potential hazards, each capable of interacting with our body's systems in unpredictable ways. How does this affect the pancreas, the organ responsible for insulin production? Or the gut microbiome, which is increasingly recognized as a key player in managing glucose levels? The answers are still unfolding, but one thing is clear. The potential for microplastics to alter health in deep and pervasive ways is a real concern. And that brings us to our daily lives. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to think that there is nothing we can do to prevent these tiny, unseen threats from invading our bodies. But awareness is a powerful tool. Understanding where microplastics come from can help reduce exposure. Simple changes like using glass or stainless steel instead of plastic, avoiding bottled water, reducing synthetic clothing that sheds microfibers, all contribute to minimizing contact. Though it might not be realistic to eliminate microplastics from our lives entirely, at least not yet, there is power in knowledge. By making small changes, we take control back, even in the face of something as insidious as microplastics. The real takeaway is this: the environment and our health are intrinsically linked in ways that we are only beginning to uncover. Microplastics are a reminder that nothing exists in isolation. Everything is connected. The choices we make in manufacturing and waste management, and even in our daily consumption, impact not just the world around us, but the health of each individual. The conversation about diabetes needs to evolve, to include the way our environment shapes our bodies, to understand that diabetes is not simply a product of diet and lifestyle, but also the very world we live in.